Hi, this is Carson with the Realm of Imagination. Um, I have today a fantasy author, which means she spends her days inventing worlds, bending reality, and making deeply questionable choices on world building. She's the mind behind the Fated Born and Sorcery and Stagecraft series. Stories packed with destiny, danger, and just enough magic to make you wonder why your life doesn't come with a prophecy and a dramatic soundtrack. She writes about fate, free will, and sorcery, which coincidentally also describes my approach to this show. Please welcome the brilliant and imaginative Kristin L. Hamblin. Kristin, thank you for being on the show. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your series.
Hey, Carson, thank you so much for having me. I'm really lucky to be here, honored to be here. So, I've written two series currently. We have the Fated Born series, which is book one of that series, and it came out in 2022. And since then, I've published four more books. And then this is the Sorcery and Stagecraft series. And this is my most recent published book. It came out in February of this year, 2025. And currently working on book three of this series. And I write fantasy with romance, but it's closed door, young adult, upper young adult, and I love it.
So, tell us about Fated Born. Now, I haven't read it yet, so I've done kind of some research, and it seems like it leans heavily into destiny and choice. How do you personally define the balance between fate and free will, and how did that philosophy shape your character arcs?
Fated Born was a challenge for me as a new writer, as a new author. I don't know why I picked that for my first project. It spoke to me, I think, because it starts off in a world where human emotions aren't supposed to exist. And so for me, I was like, how do I get readers invested in a series where like crime can't happen, bad things can't happen, people can't lie? And so that was a struggle for me because in the book they have fate is almost destined for them. And so it kind of takes away that element of free will a little bit for them. But the main character, Artemis, his human emotions accidentally awaken. And so then he, of all people, get control of his free will and kind of takes fate into his own hands. And so that's kind of where the balance portion of that would come into play. And so you see how that affects the other characters too, how his awakening affects their inability to feel human emotions.
So I don't know if you've seen the movie Pleasantville, but it's kind of like that. Like, that black
Yes.
and white world that the two characters,
Yes.
Reese Witherspoon and Tobey Maguire's characters, remember life outside of TV, right? And so like they're trying to like experience or tell the other people, the other characters, what experiences they,
Exactly.
yeah, like kind of like that, right?
It's exactly, yeah. When I first was promoting this book, I kind of advertised it as a cross between like Pleasantville and Throne of Glass because it has that fantasy, that romance element that Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas has, but it also is kind of a slower beginning because he's, in this fantasy world where he thinks everything's perfect and then he wakes up and realizes that's not the case.
Oh, that's fantastic. That sounds so
Yeah.
interesting. And then Sorcery and Stagecraft. Now the title alone, um, kind of leads me to believe that there is some sort of whimsical performance during the sorcery, or it has something to do with it. Is that anything to do with that?
Yes. So I have four daughters, and between the four of them, they've all been heavily involved in the arts, including acting and music. And I feel like there's not a lot of representation as far as the importance of arts in literature. And so this main character in this book, which is the first book in the Sorcery and Sacrifice series, is about a character who's an actress and she performs with her family's traveling troupe. And she doesn't realize this, but the first time she ever gets a lead role in a play, she delves so deep inside herself that she discovers that she actually has portal magic. And so when she opens the first portal ever, she goes to a different world completely. She doesn't realize that at the time, but she goes to a different world completely. And in that world, she's actually set off a prophecy that is the end of all Fae people. So she's human and she goes to a Fey world. And so then, chaos ensues.
I'm sure they do not like her if the prophecy is she's going to destroy them. So
Yes,
I
she
can I can
becomes their
I
number
can
one
imagine.
enemy, and she's just this innocent girl who wants to be an actress anyway. So yes, that was kind of like the inspiration behind that character in this whole series is that she could get so into her role, so into her acting role that she unlocks magic within herself.
So blending that theatrical element with sorcery, what sort of unique storytelling opportunities did that bring up?
It it was a lot of fun because like one thing I really had a lot of fun was so she acts with her family. And so she's got older brothers and all that comes with having siblings, right? And one of her older brothers likes to be the clown who attracts the audience to their shows. And so I had a lot of fun. He recites like funny parodies and stuff to get the crowd's attention. And so I had a lot of fun making those up and being raunchy with them a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of being funny with those. Um, and then just the act of almost like I had to write a play for within a book. I did have to write a play within a book, and it's just one of those cliche like princess is kidnapped by the evil witch and the hero has to come save them because that's what the troupe puts on for their performance in the book before she starts opening these portals and things start going wrong. But so yeah, it let me have a lot of fun with that. Oh, and the other, like for instance, the love interest in this book, he thinks troops performances are just like hoo-ha, like he thinks they're kooky and like dumb and lame and stuff. And so, but then he's drawn to her because she's such a good actress, and so that was kind of fun to play with that element.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, when building your world, your settings, what's the first thing you figure out? Is it the history, magic system, culture, or the characters?
I definitely start with the characters in mind. I'm what they call a plantser, in that I have a loose plot in mind. And then the rest of the book is kind of by the seat of my pants. So, like, even the loose plot that I start with can completely be different by the time I'm done writing it. And so, usually, I start with the characters and where I want them to go by the end of the book and what I want to have happen to them. That's kind of my system so far, anyway. It's always evolving, but
Nice. Do you have you're a planter, which means usually you have like, well, lots of people have told me when they're a planter, they like have certain points they want to get to, but they don't know exactly how they're going to get there.
yeah.
Is that kind of like you, or do you have kind of a point that you want to get to, but you have you have freedom, your characters can kind of make choices and kind of go in a different direction if they decide to, which sounds weird to a non-writer.
I know my characters definitely take on a mind of their own. I don't know how to explain it. You're thinking, I mean, they're mine. I created them. They're totally in my control, but it's not. It doesn't work out that way. Like for instance, in Fated Born, the couple they meet and fall in love in book one, and then they're separated by the end of book two. Minor spoilers. You can read the synopsis and see that that's going to happen. But um, and then they lose their memories of each other, and they have to fight to find each other. So book two, because she ends up going to Earth before. Did I mention that? Okay, so when they leave this world where emotions don't exist, it's to be born to Earth. So they start off as souls, like in the pre-immortal world type souls, and where they don't have emotions, and then they get born to Earth. So when they come to Earth, they don't remember anything that happened to them before they were born, and so they don't know each other. So she comes to Earth before he does, and she ends up falling for another guy. And I had to really fight hard to keep her from wanting to be with this guy because she took on a life of her own and almost became like his eternal companion instead of the person that she was supposed to be with. So I'm like, no, 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 that's not how it's supposed to be. So I do run into that a lot. So when I do the plotting, I have a goal of where I want to go eventually. But yes, they do take on a life of their own, and usually it works out better than I had imagined it would, which seems weird because I'm the one in control here. But the stories they take on a life of their own, and they end up almost like they were written before I ever even wrote them down on paper, you know?
Every author that is watching or listening to this is nodding. Every non-author is like faces screwed up going, what is she talking about?
Exactly. I know it's hard to explain, but like I had this plot idea the other day as I was writing this book. This current book is called it's going to be called Sorcery and Sunder, book 3. And I wrote this thing that explains so much of some things that have already been come in previous books. It was almost like puzzle pieces clicked together. Like, oh, that's why it happened this way in book 2. It's because this was going to happen later, which makes no sense, right? But it also means that I'm probably going to end up writing another book because it opened up a whole world of possibilities in this series. But I told my husband, it's like it was always there. I just was waiting to discover it, you know, which makes
Yeah.
no sense. But
No, I fully understand, and it's so fun. Those, as Bob Ross would say,
yeah.
happy accidents would happen.
Oh, I
Um,
love it.
I just finished a book earlier this year, first draft of it, and I remember putting some. It was probably, I don't know, 30,000 words later. I was writing something, and I was like, oh, I need to go back to when this person got this and kind of like make sure to foreshadow that. And when I went back, I was like, oh, I already did, and I had no idea it was going to happen. Like,
Yes,
it's crazy. It's so
it just
fun.
worked out that way.
Yeah, it's
I love it when that
fantastic.
happens,
I know, me too.
especially yeah, especially when now I get to write a whole nother book out of it, which is great, you know. I love it because I can make the series longer.
Yeah,
My first series is 3 books, which is a good length, but this one's probably going to end up being maybe 5, including the novella ideas that I have for it. So,
awesome. Yeah, 5 books is a perfect length too. So
yeah,
all series, if they finish right, or can be the perfect length depending on the story. So,
yes.
um, talking about series length and whatnot, many fantasy authors struggle with keeping long series cohesive. What tools or habits help you maintain continuity and emotional momentum across multiple books?
So I was thinking about this just the other day because it is kind of difficult, especially when it takes so long to write a book, you know. Um, what I found to be a process that works well for me is during the first draft, I really don't do a lot of editing as I go. I just kind of get the words on paper. And then like there's some characters even in now, a lot of characters actually in my current draft that have no names. I just like slam some keys on the keyboard and that's his name now. Or I put the dude from the castle or something. And then I'll go back and fix it in the second draft just to get through it, you know, just so I don't have to go back to document A to see what I remembered his name was supposed to be. So then my second draft, I will go through and I have a master list of like what this castle looked like in book 2 so that I can make sure to reference the correct descriptions, you know. And then I'll add every character that I created in the current draft so that I can reference it later. And that's probably not the most efficient way, but that's what I'm doing now because I use Word to edit and write. And then as far as cohesiveness, I usually have a overarching idea for the series. Um, and then which within each book there's a mini story. So like the big problem won't be solved till the end of the series, but there's little problems that can be solved within each book is kind of how I usually frame it.
That's awesome. That's a great tip or trick. Those, you have a big problem that you're working towards, but minor
Right.
problems as you go along that help keep that momentum going. No, that's a
Yeah.
fantastic tip. Um, what does your ideal writing day look like? Are you disciplined, routine driven, or do you thrive in creative bursts?
I am not the best at writing every day because I consider myself a mom first. And I have, like I said, I have 4 daughters. So I do put them ahead of everything else. So if something comes up with one of them, I put my writing aside for the day or whatever. But ideally, I, because all of them are in school, so that's very nice. But that's not all the time, right? And there's always things that comes up, doctor's appointments or whatever. So I will spend my time whether at school because I do need to have like uninterrupted time. I can't just have them running around the living room while I'm trying to type at my keyboard or whatever. And I'll get as much words as I can. And then after they go to bed, I'll do the same thing. Especially when I'm like really in the mindset of getting the book done or getting editing done. Um, so yes, ideally I would be writing every day. Unfortunately, that's not realistic.
Yeah, I don't, it's very hard to get that routine going, especially when you're a parent or, you have a job or whatever, whatever life throws at you. Being that consistent is really tough for the majority of people that aren't full-time writers. So,
Yes,
do you have like a certain like goal that you want to hit each time you can sit down and write, or, word count or scenes that you want to get through?
I do want to get at least 1,000 words every time I sit down. And then I try to not end in the end of a scene because it's easier for me to pick up and keep going if I have a starting point. Like if I have to sit there and be like, okay, what happens next? Then it's harder to get going. So if I already know, or at least I have an idea, like I have a chapter heading, this is what's going to happen in the scene, and then I can continue, writing and not have to start from almost like a blank page.
No, that's great advice for anybody that wants to be an author. Um, what Kristen did here is fantastic. That little tip of starting or ending at kind of in the middle of something, so you can go back and look forward to it and then continue on, might
Mhm.
help you and help me or whoever um, be able to sit down and immediately start getting into that scene instead of, like you said, a blank page.
Yeah, because even if you didn't know what came next, once you start typing and you get those creative energy going, then you're more likely to be able to think about what's going to come next, and keep going instead of just sit there and be like, okay, now what?
No, that's like what's one piece of advice you'd wish you received before you publish your book?
Yes, the biggest thing, the first thing I always start with is not to give up on your dreams, even if you don't think that you can make money off of it, because it is difficult to break into this market. Unfortunately, I had a bad experience when I was in school. I took a writing class because this is what I wanted to do. And my writing teacher basically said that I couldn't make any money. It was a bad career choice. And so I probably should focus my time on something else. And so I did. But I was, in high school, you're thinking, I'm going to college. What am I going to be when I grow up? I got to make money. And so I set my writing aside and it didn't touch it for like 10 years.
Oh, that's
And
too bad.
yeah, it was my biggest regret ever. What she probably should have said was keep going, but probably get a career with something that pays and then still do writing on the side or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Lots of people can make it, and I hope to eventually. Like I'm working my way up, having more and more successes every time I publish a book and with every podcast I do and everything. And I'm still loving it. But yeah, I would tell the youth, and I do tell the youth, don't give up on your dreams, even if it seems like it's impossible, just to keep going if it's something that you're passionate about.
that's good for an adult that like you to tell people that because like adults can crush kids' dreams. I mean, they
Right.
crushed yours, and to have somebody like you in that mentorship role, being able to be like, yes, like don't give up, like you can do this. If you're passionate about it, even if you're not, like you can learn to be passionate about it. Like
Yeah,
don't give up.
exactly. Yeah, it's very important. I think I even I might have actually put it in one of my dedications. If I haven't, then I'm probably going to. But to never let someone tell you that your dreams aren't worth your time is kind of how I put it. It's worth your time if
Yeah.
you're passionate about it. If it's your dream, it's worth your time.
No, that's fantastic. Did you send that creative writing teacher a copy of a book and say, "Look what I did"?
No, I don't even remember her name. Or I should have.
The
That would have been
revenge is always
sweet.
sweet, right?
Justice. She probably doesn't even remember that she said that. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those like, well, you guys probably should pick careers that will pay something. And she's not wrong, but and me, I was just so impressionable wanting to pick a career that I could support myself and support a family on. And so, but yeah, I ended up at a cubicle job and not very happy about it. And then I found writing again, and it's definitely my passion.
That's awesome. Which isn't a bad thing. Like if you're a teenager watching this, like don't give up on your dreams, but also like you do live in reality, so like maybe get something that can pay the bills and whatnot, and
Yeah,
work on that on the side until you can get the momentum and
I wrote while I worked full time and raised four kids, you know, it was just you have to do what you have to do if you want to follow your dreams. Just
Yeah,
make it work somehow.
yeah, that's fantastic advice. Um, Now it sounds like both of your series feature characters growing into power rather than starting with it. What draws you to transformation-driven storytelling?
I love the idea of underdogs, of someone normal like me who could just one day and wake up with magic. I think I've always loved that concept of becoming special, you know, becoming unique, being the chosen one, kind of a thing. I really love that trope in movies and books and everything. So
Yeah, if done well, like to me, it never gets old. So yeah, I love that
exactly.
trope
I
as
mean,
well.
exactly.
Looking ahead, what personal or creative milestone would you make it feel like you've made it as a fantasy author, regardless of sales or rewards?
Ooh, regardless of sales, huh? So I will say
We
that
we
my
can we can do both. We can do okay. Like if this fulfilled me personally. Like you already have like 5 books out.
yes,
So like that could have already been like this is what I've done, but now I want to do something else. Like I
that's
want
the thing. Yes. Okay. So that's the thing. It's always evolving. At first, it was like, I just want to be a published author. And then that was my goal for years. You know, I worked really hard to get to this point. And then I became a published author. And now my goal is different. You know, it's always evolving. So then it became, I want to see my books in the library. And now they're in the library, which is like, still, I'm riding that high. You know what I mean? That's just amazing to me. Like, you are somebody if you have a book in the library. And now, yeah, now I want to be able to support my family on my author income. That's my goal.
there you go. That's a
Yeah.
fantastic goal. And we were talking beforehand. My wife won one of your books in a giveaway. So like your books are getting out there and
I
they're
know. I thought that was amazing when you said that. I just, you never know. Like, I run a Etsy store so that I can sell signed copies on, you know, to people that want to get signed copies. And I get orders, you know, sporadically, but they'll be from all over the country. And it was like, how do you even hear about me? I'm just some author mom from Oklahoma, you know, but people have. So that's just, it blows my mind every time that happens.
yeah, it's got to be mind blowing for sure. That's probably a pretty good feeling.
It is.
Um, being an independent author, you're in charge of everything.
Right.
Um, what what was sort of your process to find your cover? Your covers are beautiful. To find your cover
Thank you.
artist, your editor, all the things that you don't think about. Um, like a traditional published author, they don't have to do that stuff. So like as an indie, you're in charge of everything. Like what was your like how did you go about finding your people and like being able to get it done?
For the longest time, I thought that it didn't count if you didn't get traditionally published. And then I realized that's just not true because there's things that might be selling right now really well that traditional publishers want to grab up. And mine might not be like the trending topic, but that doesn't mean there people aren't out there that want to read what I have to write. And so once I made the decision to go indie, I went like full in. I did all the research, all the work. You know, I created a publishing company um, and everything like that so that I could do my own stuff. And so I just followed what other people have done before me. I looked on Instagram until I found the cover artist that I wanted. I joined author forums and I took a bunch of courses online and classes at conferences and things. I had an author that offered to kind of mentor me and to the self-publishing world and just figured it out as I went. And it was a lot of work. But now that I've got all the knowledge behind me, it's easier now to publish a book, you know. But yeah, it was a lot of work at first, but it was definitely worth it. And it's paid in its benefits since then.
That's awesome. Now, another thing as a writer, as a beginning writer, you don't think about is making money, marketing, getting your books out there. What are some things that you have learned, some tips or tricks that you could share that has helped you, and what are some of the struggles you've had?
Networking is definitely important because, like I said, I did learn a lot from other people that have come before me that have done this before. And I wouldn't have learned what I know if I hadn't known them and been able to kind of emulate some of the things that they've done. Um, there's a few Facebook groups that I've joined that they're just full of knowledge. One of them is 20 books to 50K. I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's there's people of all skill levels and all like income levels on there that know a lot more than I do. And so anytime I have a win or anything that works, I'll post in there like so that the person that comes behind me, can learn from what I've done. And of course, it's always evolving, it's always changing. The market changes, the rules, the platforms. Even since I started publishing in 2022, there's been so many changes. AI, has been a big thing. And so networking definitely is one of them. Taking classes because I was just starting off a few years ago. I had a lot to learn and not a big budget to do it, and so I took a lot of free courses from experts that offer free things on how to do like Facebook ads or Amazon ads. Which I am horrible at. I'm horrible at Amazon ads. Basically, it's been a lot of money and to not really have much to show for it, but I'm learning, you know what I mean, as I go. So still always a learning process.
Well, you don't have anything to show for it, but you do because you learned, right?
I
Like,
did, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No,
well,
I'm sure some people like I got exposure and stuff like that, but yes, it's always a learning process.
that's awesome. Kristen, is there any final thoughts that you'd like to share? Go ahead and you can share your Instagram or any social handles, how they get a hold of you. If you're going to any conventions or conferences this year that people might be able to connect with you.
Nothing on the board yet for conferences, but my website, KristinLHamblin.com, has all the links to my socials. I'm pretty active on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And then I have a once a month newsletter that I send out at the very beginning of the month. And it has giveaways and it has all the updates to my stuff, like where I'm at with my progress with my writing, and it'll have fun teaser quotes. And then my newsletter subscribers are also the first ones to see anything that I do. So I will show them my cover. That'll be the next thing is my cover reveal for book 3, which no one's seen yet. So that's pretty fun. And then ARC opportunities. I usually have a big thing where I have a lot of ARC readers sign up for my books. They can read it in advance of publication, and I will post that opportunity to my newsletter subscribers first. And so there's a way on the website to subscribe to that if that's something that interests anybody.
Perfect. Now, this was a delight, Kristen. Thank you so much. We talked about destiny, magic, storytelling, and the dangerous idea that if you practice long enough, you might actually get good at something.
Yes.
Um, Kristen, thank you so much. You prove that fate is flexible, magic is messy, and the best stories come from asking what if and making them worse. Be sure to check out your 2 series, The Fated Born and The Story in Stagecraft is the first book. What's the series called for that?
The sorcery and sacrifice.
Sorcery and Sacrifice. It's full of heroes, heart, and just enough magic to remind you that staying inside is safer. My thanks to you for being here. Thanks to you guys for watching and especially because I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm grateful for Destiny for not interrupting the interview with the dragon. Now all of you go read a book or better yet, write one.
Thank you so much, Carson.